Welcome back, everybody, to the fourth day of the Scrabble Players Championship from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Matt Canik, and this morning I'll be joined by Chloe Fatsis for more Scrabble action. Chloe, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, thanks. Great to be here. Excited to watch some Scrabble.
Yeah, super excited to have you on stream as well. Chloe, for those who don't know her as well as they should, a fantastic female Scrabble player from North America. I believe your rating's what, like 1900 or something? You've shot up there so fast.
Yeah, not quite 1900, but maybe soon.
Soon.
Yeah, sad to
Yeah,
not be at the big Scrabble tournaments this summer, but glad to be able to contribute in some way.
Yeah, some of us have things like real life, jobs, school, whatever, but the diehards, they find a way to make it to Albany and to Vegas for 2 consecutive weeks. I don't know if I could play that many games of Scrabble in a row, but yeah. Well, we've got a treat for y'all. First game is the newly throned first place NWL guy, Josh Sokol. We saw him overtake Jackson Smiley, who'd been atop the standings for a very long time, late in play yesterday. And Rafi Stern still very much alive in this tournament. To look at the standings just a little bit before we get going, we've got Josh again in first place and narrowly behind him several other players. Jackson, of course, just one game behind, and a handful of others. Kevin Fraley, Rafi Stern, Ori Swift, all poised to potentially make runs, as well as some other dark horses like Carl Johnson. So still anybody's tournament. As a reminder, we'll be taking the top two players after play ends today and pulling them aside into a best of five. So for all of these players, we are looking to be in either first or second place at the end of play today. So Josh, 17-4, Jackson, 16-5. Each of those guys 2 to 3 games ahead of the rest of the field. Kevin at 14-7, and then a handful of players at 13-8. Rafi Stern, Joey Malik, Eric Goldstein, Ian Weinstein, and Andy Huang, with Carl Johnson a half game behind them at 12.5 wins. It's going to take luck from one of those players in the 13-8 pack to get there. They'll need a subpar day from Jackson or Josh. One of those players will need to go under 500, I think, for those players to have a chance. And they'll need a great day, 6-1 or 7-0, likely what it takes. But with a big mass of very talented players in that group, I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of them make a run. However, at this point, certainly looks like Jackson and Josh would have to have a terrible run today to stop themselves from making it into those finals. Chloe, what are your thoughts on these players? You have a dark horse you want to pick, or are you going to go with the straightforward Jackson Josh finals? What's your prediction?
I don't know. I think after Word Cup, I think it would be great to see another final, or I guess the word finals, but to see it come down to Jackson and Josh. But I wouldn't be surprised if Rafi or Kevin can sneak in there.
Yeah, the storyline I'm rooting for is Jackson and Josh play 2 more times today, split their games again 1-1. Again, Jackson and Josh, I've mentioned it a few times on stream, are exactly 500 in their overall head-to-head series across, I believe, 86 or 88 games. So if they get 2 more today and split them, then that best of five finals would determine who has A, the overall better record, and B, who will be crowned the Scrabble Players Champion and win 10,000 American dollars at this tournament. I'm sure for Canadians with that exchange rate, that would be big, big money, as both Jackson and Josh hail from Montreal.
Yeah, that would be awesome. They would have to continue their rivalry long after this tournament. Whoever loses would need to catch up and wouldn't let it
Yeah, and
go.
if I'm Josh and I win this, I switch to Collins forever and never play Jackson and NWL again and ride on my laurels. Just kidding, but only kind of. Well, Rafi played a very interesting game the last time we had him on stream. He was matched against Andy Huang, and Rafi playing what I deemed to be the only positive equity game, meaning he made more than just the best play every turn. He snuck an additional 22 or so points of equity out of a phony that he got by Andy, extending wheat to non-wheat. So Rafi played a really solid game. Again, the only better than perfect game by my standards. Although there is one play that Rafi was messaging me about last night at 1 a.m., 1 a.m. Eastern time, lamenting. And it was his play with two in the bag of Bozo. He just played the letter Z down and ended up leaving a blank in the bag that Andy drew and beat him by 5 points with. Rafi said he really regrets rushing that play. In hindsight, it was terrible, and there were better options for him. And he vowed not to do something like that again on stream this game. Additionally, he said the only bozo in that game was himself. So, Rafi vowing to play better for us, and he's been a solid player for so long, always does very well at these nationals. And I'm excited to see what he can bring on stream for us.
Yeah, totally. His intentional phony yesterday of non-wheat was, well, I assume it was intentional. Um, but yeah, it was a really cool play and a way to just work yourself out of a like rack that wasn't going to give you any options otherwise. But yeah, in the end game, it's hard to take the time and think about why it might be better to actually empty the bag, because usually the instinct is to leave one tile or two tiles in the bag. But sometimes it's actually better to yeah, empty the bag, take some extra points, and close down any bigger threats.
And Rafi doing an excellent job capitalizing on the double challenge rule for our international viewers. I'll remind that NWL tournaments are almost always run in double challenge, meaning somebody's going to lose a turn. If the word is good, the challenger loses their turn. And if the word is not good, the challengee loses their turn. So, big difference from 5 point challenge. Challenging in double challenge is very hard to do because the consequences, if you're wrong, are so severe. I would be a huge advocate of mixing up the challenge rule and seeing some double challenge in CSW tournaments, as well as seeing some 5 or 10 point challenge in NWL tournaments. I'd love to see that. I think to some people that's a barrier to switching over to the other lexicon, but I'd love to see how people can adjust their games and strategize differently. I'm going to say this over and over and over on stream for the next week because I think that would be awesome for the game of Scrabble. I would love to see us tennis style for majors. You know, tennis, they've got different courts, the clay, the grass, the composite. I want to see the same thing in Scrabble, slightly different rule sets, maybe 15 or 20 minutes in addition to the 25-minute, maybe double challenge, maybe 5 point, maybe even 10 point, and some different major tournaments along the way with those different rule sets to force players to adjust the way they play just a little bit. But anyway, that's me, my pipe dream idea. It would take a lot of work and a lot of volunteers to put that together. And frankly, it takes a lot of work even to put just one big event like this double down together. So, pipe dream, maybe in 2040, we'll make it happen. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. You can tell I'm trying to kill some time as day 4 announcements seem to be running quite long. Play is supposed to begin at 9 o'clock Pacific time, and it's already 9:11 Pacific time. And it doesn't seem like players are ready to start yet. Chloe, do you have any interesting banter so they don't have to hear my voice anymore?
Any interesting banter? Man, I don't know. On the note of Colin, I mean, yeah, the Collins notes. Yeah, I have to say I'm a huge double challenge lover, even though I'm pretty bad at it. I feel like I lose more challenges than I win, or at least historically have, and yet definitely prefer it. But would be interested in trying some more 5 point or 10 point challenge, because yeah, you're right. It totally does change how you think about each turn and your opponent's turn, and just like what you have to prioritize in making a play.
Yeah, would love to see that. But I digress. The reason we are taking so long and you see a standing ovation happening is because they are announcing the NASPA Person of the Year. And that Person of the Year is somebody I think going to be especially beloved in Twitch chat, someone who has done so much for the game of Scrabble, both online and in person, but particularly built a huge online presence. And that is none other than the great Will Anderson. So kudos to Will. If you haven't found him on YouTube, he's got a YouTube channel with some awesome content. He streams on Twitch time to time again. Great job, Will. Well deserved. Congratulations. And I'd be standing up and clapping too if it wouldn't be really bad for those at home listening on headphones.
Yeah, Will is awesome. No one really doing more for the game right now than him. In addition to working full time for Scopely, the creators of the Scrabble Go app, he's been, yeah, like Matt said, making awesome YouTube videos, which have been getting like hundreds of thousands of views, and are super great about Scrabble history and like cool games that have happened in the past. So yeah, highly recommend checking him out.
Yeah, absolutely. And to those of you at home, I recommend trying to put up some Scrabble content of your own. You don't have to be a grandmaster to do it. In fact, I would love to see a little bit more of the human side of Scrabble. We always show top level players here, which sometimes makes the game feel inapproachable or inaccessible to the living room player or, the common player, the casual player. But this is just a small slice. There are so many divisions with so many different calibers and skills of players. There's something for everybody in tournament Scrabble, and I wish we showed a little bit more of that on the internet. Go ahead, make some mistakes. It's all good. Just get us out there because there's a lot of nerds out there who would love this game in the future. I'll step off my soapbox now. We'll get to some Scrabble action. Rafi to go first in a game he needs to win. EENNPTZ. And I think we're looking at two different options here: Zen, Zen for 24, or Zep, Zep for 28.
Yeah, I definitely agree with his choice of Zen here. I think it's worth the 4 point sacrifice to get rid of that second N, which can get pretty clunky as you keep more and more double tiles on your rack. And the P works pretty nicely with the rest of that leave.
Yeah, PENT, a nice flexible leave. Zen also reasonably defensive, as I believe in NWL does not take a back S. Yeah, it does not, so no back hooks there, whereas Zep does give up the S hook. And Josh to respond now, a rack that doesn't look super fun, duplicate N's and a G and a U, AGNNORU, but he is going to have a nice play out of this rack. The 5 Guano, GUANO, playing underneath Zen, forming ZA, EN, and NO for 25. Far and away the best play Josh could make here. Guano, I believe, something to do with bat dung. I don't know exactly what that means, but yeah, Josh has seen it, he spotted it, and there's really no reason to make any other play here. Quite a straightforward decision for Josh.
Yeah, Guano looks great. Just getting rid of the U, the G, the N, and scoring much better than anything else. So yeah, looks awesome.
Rafi can't be thrilled to pick up two more T's into his leave of ENPT as well as an R. So no vowel relief and instead ENPRTTT on Rafi's rack. And he can't be thrilled by this. Not many options for him. He could consider playing Tent, TENT, through the EN, just 4 points, but holds ENPRT. He could score a little bit better by playing Czar, TZAR, through the ZA for 14. He could play Tent and NOT for 9, or he could exchange. But yeah, Chloe laughing at these options as she sees every single one of these plays is absolutely abysmal. And Rafi really getting screwed over by the tile bag on that last pull. Chloe, what are your thoughts on those? Do you make a play? Do you exchange? Or do you just sit there and be sad before deciding what to do?
I think I would never play Tent. Just without an S, I really don't see the point in creating such two S hooks on top and on the bottom for Stent and Tents. Just not really what you want to be doing, and the 4 points do not seem worth it to create that sort of spot on the board. TZAR, I would consider, but yeah, it's weird. It's not the kind of rack you want to exchange with, but every option does things to the board that really are undesirable for Rafi. So yeah, like he's doing right now, I think exchanging was the way to go, or the way I
I
would
agree
go.
with your analysis 100% spot on there. I would have exchanged in this situation too. Can't open S hooks if you don't have them. I think that's a great decision by Rafi. ENRT should be a good leave unless he picks up 3 more crappy consonants. But, as tight as this board looks for Rafi, he is actually going to be giving up a bingo to Josh next turn, though all of his plays would not have blocked this. Josh holding on the 7 Almners, ALMNERS. That does not play, but the 8 Manglers through the G and Guano does. No other bingos for Josh on this turn, as Zen doesn't take an S, and Manglers has to be his play here. Here it comes.
Yeah, totally. Luckily for Rafi, he will bingo back now. He has Disinter, Inditer, probably a couple other things.
Yeah, 3 bingos, one 7 Inditer, as Chloe said, plays alongside Manglers or ME and AR. Disinter plays through the S and Manglers, as well as Dirament through the M and Manglers. Disinter, the highest scoring of those bingos, and likely the most offensive of those bingos. So I'm certain that's what Rafi's going to play. He'll take a little bit of time, as he's done this tournament with bingo prone racks, make sure he sees all the options and chooses the best one. But disinter, Rafi's best play here, 72 points. And after he makes that play, we'll be looking at a 1 point game,
Wait, yeah,
96
sorry.
to 97.
Josh actually just played a phony there with mangrels. Manglers is the word.
Oh my goodness. Wow, I didn't even notice that.
I, yeah,
Uh,
I just assumed he played manglers. That is something. And Rafi didn't even seem to hold.
And what's crazy is I thought mangrel was a word too. I thought that was a set. And then I typed it in my anagrammer, ran it through Quackle, and it gave me one bingo. So, what is a word like mangrel that
Yeah,
would
I know because it does look pretty familiar to me as well. So, mongrel, I guess, but something else as well. That is weird.
get?
Um,
I thought there was a set, like an NGLER and NGREL word, multiple. Like I know mongrel is a word, gangler is a word, but I thought there was a
oh,
set of two.
gangrel, I guess is the word, right?
Say that again.
Isn't gangrel a word? Yeah.
Gangrel is a word. I thought there was a set though, mangler, mangrel, or something similar to that. Oh, in any case, I guess it's not a word. You and me, you and I both a little confused by that. But Josh playing a phony, Rafi not holding the phony, likely seeing, well, you could have just played mangler, so you must be confident on this. Whatever, you can have it. But yeah, curious decision there. You don't see that very often. Potential for Josh to get punished very hard when he had just one valid bingo. That would have been blocked. And wow, okay. Well, in any case, phony coming down. Play passes back to Josh with a 1 point lead, holding AILRTUW. Not much for Josh to do here. You want to probably get rid of the U and W. So Scrabble players learn those short words that have both a W and a U quite quickly. WUD, the only three, and then things like WAUR or WAUL, bread and butter words for even beginner level Scrabblers. If you didn't know them now, or if you didn't know them until now, you're welcome. They will be very, very useful for you going forward. But Josh gets to decide if he wants to get rid of both the W and the U. He's got multiple places to play WAUL or WAUR. He can play it alongside mangrels or on top of disinter, or he could forego playing those, score a little bit better now with a play like Twain or Witan, WITAN, to the N in mangrels. Those would score 27, whereas his war or wall plays would score 20 or 21. But the extra points would mean he has to hold a U. Chloe, how do you feel between those options?
Yeah, they can't be too far apart. My instinct was WAUL, just wanting to, yeah, keep the rack as like, avoid any disaster racks next turn at this close score. But yeah, it's hard. I still don't have a definite decision, but I think I would play Wall. But yeah, Whitehan or Twain also definitely reasonable. Looks like he's looking at Ultra though, or something like that. Oh no, he's playing Wall. Okay.
Okay, so Wall, and he's going to like to play it up top, sacrificing 1 point. It scored one more point with WE and AR atop of Disinter, but Wall does take a back S. So perhaps Josh electing to keep things tight, maybe to shape this board, maybe not to set up an S hook. I'm not sure why he forewent the point, but it seems reasonable. I think in this situation, I would have played WAUR atop disinter because that word does not take an S, so a little bit more defensive, but lots of good options and very similar options for Josh. It doesn't look like it's going to pay off super well as his draw afterwards, not super great. But we'll switch over to Rafi, CDEFTTU on his rack as he looks to take the lead back. And Wall going to give him a very nice overlap opportunity. He has Deft, DEFT, forming EW, FA, and TUM for 31 points. Definitely Rafi's best option here, and he's not going to spend much more time thinking on this position as he lays it down. Josh, BINRRST. We've seen some very no-brainer decisions in this game so far, but maybe a little bit more for Josh to think about on this turn. I think, again, the standard play looks to be Brin, BRIN, making ID and NEW. You do open this board in many ways, NEW taking a plethora of front hooks, including that killer K, and an A as well with a bunch of A's unseen, and it's going to slot that B alongside a triple word. So maybe some other tighter options would be a better idea. He can play just BREW to the EW for 12. INRST can go one of two ways. You either bingo next turn or you score 12 and be sad if you pick up consonants. Or perhaps you play down to the R in disinter, just BRRR for 12. If you really want this game to stay closed, I think that's the best way to do it. So,
Yeah.
Chloe, what do you think?
He could also play Brit. I believe that's a word. And that would set up his S pretty nicely. To
Ooh.
avoid the K and A hooks. So I might do that.
Yeah, yeah, Britt would set up his S. Ooh, I like that quite a bit. Well spotted, Chloe.
Thanks. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, I don't love Brew. It's not a board. I mean, with the disinters hook, that makes it a bit better. But um, yeah, if he draws more consonancies in the same issue as this time, it's not horrible though.
Yeah,
But
and
I think I
Josh,
would
we've
do Brit.
seen over and over this tournament, thinking not just about this turn, but next turn. What tiles am I holding on to, and how can the play I make now make those tiles stronger in the future? We see both Josh and Jackson think very far ahead, trying to set up the letters they're retaining. So Brit, I think, definitely something Josh would think of as Chloe thought of, even though I failed to.
But it's true, yeah, the NRS leaves slightly worse than RST. But yeah, here, given the setup, definitely. Oh, he looks like he's going with Bryn, though. Weird
Yeah,
choice.
going with
I,
Bryn anyway.
yeah,
Yeah,
I would definitely
RST.
expect him to.
Go
Oh,
ahead, Chloe.
I was just gonna say I would expect him to see something like Brit. So I wonder if he just wasn't convinced by the S setup. But to me, it seems like that would make it worth it.
Yeah, and when trying to decide between, leaves that seem largely trivial, RST versus RNS and such, you want to look at the unseen pool. So I thought that might be driving Josh's decision, but after Bryn, just one unseen N and three unseen T's. So, Josh likely to double up on those T's when it's almost impossible for him to double up on N's. I think maybe a missed opportunity for Brit here. As Rafi, again, a kind of no-brainer play, very simple and straightforward. Cutty will score 33 points, leave EVS, which is rather reasonable. And yeah, I don't think there's much to think about or analyze there. Nice play by Rafi.
Yeah, totally the play.
Josh picking up very nicely. Although he doesn't bingo, he picks up an A, which is going to be big for the a new hook, as Rafi didn't have one. And he has the 6-letter play Pharaohs, Farros, for 45, forming Fid and a new. Now, you don't necessarily like giving away your S on this board with that disinter back hook sitting available, but 45 points is a lot of points. Expert analysis from Matt Canik. I'll be here all week. So I think you have to make that play here. You could consider keeping things tighter and playing. Oh,
Oh, refactor.
oh. So this will be the second phony bingo by Josh this game as refactors comes down, and it does look like Josh appears to be on hold this time,
Yeah.
casually sipping his water, not drawing his tiles. So Rafi with a huge decision to make. Will I challenge this bingo or will I let it go?
Yeah, it's slightly strange because Rafi seems to be someone who's somewhat solid on his words, though I guess the Mangroves play was just weird all around. But yeah, since this is an 8-letter word with an S at the end, it's plausible, definitely plausible, in fact, highly likely that Rafi would have seen this refactor 8-letter rack before. So he can he can write down the alphagram and whatever and see if it looks familiar to him. So I'm sure it was yeah, definitely suspicious as he held when Josh first played it. So we'll see what happens.
And this will be an even huger decision for Rafi now, as Josh has drawn courtesy tiles, I believe. You're allowed to draw tiles and look at them to begin thinking your next turn after 15 seconds on hold, but that does not mean the play has been accepted. Josh does pull a blank into those tiles, so if Rafi can challenge and knock this off, he will not only get a free turn, but he'll get that blank thrown back in the bag. If Rafi lets this go, especially with the blank that Josh has drawn and the garbage Rafi has on his rack, this is going to be a very hard game for him to win. Huge decision here for Rafi. And of course, it's really easy for us here at home. We know that this is not a word, but Rafi has to think through this decision. He's going to take his time for sure. He promised he would play better on stream for us. And I am curious to see if he will pull the trigger on challenging. This is a hard word to challenge, but I don't know. I don't know Rafi's game well enough to see if he's going to challenge or have a good opinion. But big decision here, tense moment.
Yeah, it's hard. I always have a really hard time with the like re words. It's just there's no real logic to them, so you just have to know or like have some strange vibe that one of them is or is not a word. But it looks like he's challenging. Oh no, he
He
exchanged.
exchanged. He
Oh
lets it go and
no.
exchanges. Okay, big
Oh
swing
man.
in this game.
So Josh is catching some huge breaks here between these two phony bingos. That is pretty
Wow.
crazy.
Okay, so Rafi letting refactors go, exchanging, and Josh now with the blank in the driver's seat in this game as he has played not one, but two phony bingos that have gotten by on Rafi. We saw Rafi pick up equity in his previous game on stream, phonying against Andy Hong, but now he is the victim of two phonies.
Yeah, and I doubt either was intentional. Maybe Josh wasn't sure of refactors, but I don't think he would have played Mangrels if he knew that Manglers was the word. So, um, yeah, pretty pretty tough break for Rafi here. And I wonder how Josh will work his way out of this rack of vowels to build towards a bingo now, which I'm sure is what he's thinking of doing.
Yeah, likely gonna play either oboe or OB, OBOE or
Yeah,
OBI through the B and Bren, either 21 points holding CII blank or 15 holding CEIO blank. With the lead, I think I'd prefer in Josh's shoes to keep things a little tight and play OBI without opening that top right part of the board. But Josh will spend his time and think about it, make sure there aren't better options out of here. Rafi, crucially on his exchange, picked up the K, the high scoring front hook for the new spot. I'm not seeing a word right now that stands out, a 5-letter word that'll play there.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm not either.
no, there's nothing in this rack. So while he gets the K, he could be able to pound out 60 or so points there if he had just drawn a 5, and yet he did not. So we'll see if he holds on to the K or if he just makes a shorter play that doesn't extend down to the triple, as Josh will get a chance to draw an A and address the highest scoring spot on this board.
Yeah, I would definitely expect Josh to not this turn because he really doesn't have a good way of doing it, but next turn, if he doesn't hit a bingo elsewhere, to try to address that spot at all costs, or not maybe not at all costs, but he would be pretty likely to address that just because it's so dangerous. But looks like he's going with cozy. Something I was thinking of, but yeah, I think I did prefer OB just to with the blank, leave that S open. There really wasn't a huge threat of Rafi been going after in exchange for maybe slightly more likely, but I think I would have kept the C to keep a consonant.
I don't know. The C is a great tile for blocking the board. And again, in the absence of a back hook for ZEN, now getting to the right side or the top side of this board looks like quite the challenge. You'll need an O to play on top of Zen, forming Ono, or have to burn an S or another back hook to TUM to get up that way. So I see Josh using that C and wielding it the way that you should use Cs when you have a lead.
Yeah, it's true.
This is
Defense definitely makes sense. I just think I would have gone harder for the bingo.
Yeah, I think with the blank on my rack, I don't necessarily look to close this board. If I can just bingo again next turn, I'm just going to win the game no matter what. So I'd rather keep those consonant floaters open for myself. But again, Josh, 17-4 in this tournament for a reason, and me sitting at my computer drinking coffee and talking into a microphone for a reason.
Yeah,
So
good point.
chat, let us know if you felt strongly between Obi or Cozy, but it seems like Chloe and I are in agreement that we don't like Josh's play. I'm curious to see. We have a lot of other strong players in the chat right now. What do y'all think? And Rafi, with what's probably going to be his biggest decision of the game, barring challenging either of the phony bingos, what do you do with this K? You can play Key or KYE right now with New for 31 points. You can hold a pretty solid leave. EIMS is not that bad, but you're blowing your K when you could be cashing it for 60 or so points. I just don't see any decent options that score for Rafi now and leave reasonable tiles. The only thing I can think of perhaps is MY and EM next to Cozy. That opens up the right side of the board a little bit more, forces Josh to probably stack or overlap there, and lets you try to pull K words next turn. But EEIKS, if you pull vowels, you're still not hitting your K spot next turn, and you're in a huge load of trouble. Additionally, I think a lot of the tiles you can pull will force you to burn your S to hit that spot. It will be 60 points, but I don't know. Should Rafi just burn the K now, or should he try to hold on to it for an additional turn?
I think I would hold on to it. I don't mind the play of MY. Yeah, there is the risk of drawing more vowels, which would suck. And I don't see the pool at the moment, but based on the way the board looks, it looks like maybe a bit more consonants have been played, so it could be a vowel-heavy bag. But
Yeah, 20 vowels, 22 consonants, and
okay,
two.
so yeah, slightly vowel-heavy given ratio things. I guess technically consonant-heavy, but yeah, I don't mind MY. I think just at this deficit, you need to go for that big 60-point play. And the S might become more valuable, or it would become a lot more valuable after MY, setting up EMS as well as potentially hooking EME or whatever else, or EMO, whatever gets played, parallel that. But I think you gotta go for the big play. Though it's true that the leave of key is pretty good and conducive to bingos, just not really on this board.
Yeah, tough decision here for Rafi. I could stare at it for 15 minutes and still not feel very confident. I think I'm most partial to the MY play just because it is so difficult for Josh to block without having a V on his rack, and it opens up that side of the board, helps you hold on to the K for one additional turn. I think I like that, but I wouldn't blame Rafi if he decided to play Key or Kai along with New right now. The problem, EIMS, good leave. Where do you bingo with it on this board?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he looks like he's waffling between the two. Yeah, and that definitely is the decision here. I don't see any other plays that I would really consider. Um, but yeah, it's a tough choice either way. Looks like he's going with Key though. Um, yeah, or Kai, same deal.
Josh tilts his head. He sees the K come down and he's like, nope, nope, nope. And then it stops. It stops short of the triple dodge. Josh, knowing he has dodged a bullet on this turn. But
And now
Rafi
he'll
pulling
bingo
back.
instantly with bioethic.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
basically will seal up the game, probably giving back no new lanes. That C does not have any underlapping tiles to make a two-letter word. And Josh will now just be able to play defense the whole way back. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that KYE turn pivotal as Rafi doesn't open the board. Josh slams this one shut, and it's going to be very hard now for Rafi to get back into this game. I don't even know what to do now if you're Rafi. Perhaps ME and EM alongside Cozy in the same spot Mai would have been last turn. You've got to try to open this board up if you want to win. And again, Rafi in this tournament likely needs to go 6-1 or 7-0 today to make it to those finals. He can't lose. He needs to be playing 100% for the win. Spread be damned. Go all out, Rafi.
yeah. ME seems quite risky, just like pretty much impossible not to be able to block, at least in partially. Though usually reopening that triple lane. Luckily for Josh, he would have the perfect block to something like ME with Vodun. So yeah, it's not going Rafi's way this time, but I wonder if there's any way to reopen that top area a bit more.
Bioethics should take an S. Let me
Oh, that's
make
true.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, that's something. You could play ME underneath bioethic, making EM and TE. That's one way to sort of open it up, but it's only 14 points. You have to score a little bit now. You can't just fish, because then your bingo won't even pull you back up to striking range.
yeah. Yeah, when you're
Rafa,
down over 100, you gotta hope for these like miracle high scoring bingos. That and just hope your opponent has no good block, but it will be tough.
yeah, and Josh picking up the best blocking tile in the game in that V. So he'll be able to block almost any line that Rafi opens with it.
Exactly.
A tricky turn for Rafi, a very unfortunate swing of events. But, he definitely could have done a better job in this game if he were a little more solid on his words. And to my knowledge, Rafi doesn't play very many tournaments. He prepares and gets ready for the Nationals every year and doesn't do much Scrabble outside of that. And I think, that alone makes it tough to be very certain on your words. If you play enough, the same things start to come up over and over. You see the same hooks, you see the same spots, you see the same alphagrams. But I think he might just not play enough to be super confident on these words.
Yeah, it's really hard to commit to that year-round study, but it is definitely what makes you feel the most solid and confident in your word knowledge going into an event like this. Whereas you can, cram study after a while off, but it's just going to be harder to have that sort of full grasp of things and feel like even just for your like mental, state while playing. I find I'm a lot more confident after like a consistent period of play and study versus after just sort of jumping back in. I'll just sort of be questioning all of my decisions.
Yeah, yeah, rust factor definitely a big thing, and just the more you play, the more you kind of hone your gut instinct. The more you study as well, the more confident you are on the words. If I'm Rafi, I'm spending the same amount of time on this turn. I know I have to do something to get back into this game, and I know I have to get back into this game to have any chance in this tournament. I wonder if he is considering burning this S now and trying to make a board forking play. If he plays
Mm.
something like SLIEVE, it'll be difficult for Josh to address all of those lines. Again, the V a good blocking tile, but also a good forking tile. Josh would be unable to overlap sleeve and bioethics, and Rafi would be left with at least one floater between the I or the two E's out there. So it seems
Mhm.
a little bit wild and reckless playing six tiles, including bingo prone ones such as EILS. But it is another way to open this board in a way that would give him at least two more turns to try to hit a bingo. He can bingo down to the Y and Cuddy, and he can bingo through the lines he's created. However, if I'm Rafi, I also really want to hold on to this L, as that L is going to be my key to bingoing to the Y in Cuddy and catching back up into this game. I do not know what to do. I think I'd sit here forever and play something sad like Hive. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that. Rafi playing Hive. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a decent chance for Rafi to get back into this game. He's going to need a great draw here, likely a bingo this turn and a bingo in the next couple of turns to catch up yet. But Hive, a good idea by Rafi. And Josh now, DLNOOUV, needs to figure out what he can do to slam this board back shut, or if he just wants to start running away with this game. I don't see any standout options that do shut this board for Josh right now. In fact, I don't see almost any good options at all. If he is truly concerned about the bingos to the Y, he could consider trying to play underneath disinter with the play like DON or NOD. Maybe knock out the Y now and deal with the hive spot later. But I do not know of a good way for Josh to adequately block the whole top. Maybe a play like DUO and ED alongside Hive would be one way to do that. Hive also taking the back D, but I'm not seeing a good play for Josh using that back hook and closing the board with his V. I just don't think his tiles are good enough to spell a word that way.
Yeah, I guess you could play something like could COULD from the C of bioethic, but it just scores no points. So you're basically allowing Rafi to have like a, just get closer and closer if you keep making these little blocking plays for no points. Um, but yeah, I guess that's one hyper defensive option. But it still leaves open that NO. You could put the O in front of that spot. So it's not totally closed up there.
Rafi pulling a good rack here. There will be no playable sevens in NWL, but if that U ends up in the right spot, he'll be able to play humerals, Humerals. So depending on where Josh puts that U, you think it's a relatively benign tile that you don't have to worry about bingos through. But I'm not seeing a play that would string the U out there. But if it does, that would be a way for Rafi to bingo. An O in the right spot would also give Rafi armholes. But again, I don't think we're going to see Josh string out floaters in this situation.
Yeah, that would be pretty reckless of him. But you never know.
Wow, I just don't see good plays.
Yeah, so he's going for
Very
duo,
good.
suggested.
Once again, duo, I guess, is the play for Josh. I think this is reasonable. He doesn't like it. He hasn't hit his clock. He's staring at it, but you can't open the board. So you just got to do something like this. I also like the idea to hold on to both the L to hit the Y and Cuddy and the V to smack down any line that Rafi tries to open.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely not a play you want to make. You want to be scoring well while blocking, but sometimes there's just no inspiring options.
Yeah, sometimes there just aren't any good plays, but sometimes you feel like there aren't any good plays, and then there was one, and you just didn't see it. So you want to take your time, be extra sure. Oh, Josh, picking it back up. I wonder what other candidates he's considering here. We'll pull the unseen pool up for y'all as well. There are now 28 unseen to Josh, 21 in the bag, and that's again the juncture of the game where this starts being relatively important.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good looking bag. Just for this board, it's going to be hard to bingo either way. But yeah, 2S a blank. Are these unseen by Josh?
I don't know. I think this is incorrect. I'm showing a different unseen pool. Let me try to figure out what's gone wrong here.
Okay.
I think Josh. Oh, hang on. No. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. So I went ahead and put in duo for Josh, and he actually picked it back up. So that's on me. This is the correct unseen pool.
Because if Josh has the last two O's, then I'm not sure what this unseen tiles are representing. But if he has the last two O's, then no, that can't be possible.
No, this is correct.
Yeah.
This unseen pool is correct to Josh. I just got to turn ahead and was looking at Rafi's next turn. Okay, so this is it. This is what Josh is looking at. 31 unseen for Josh.
Okay, cool. So yeah, there's definitely some threats out there. A big Y bingo would put Rafi within range for sure.
And Josh reluctantly, I think, playing duo, just spending more time and seeing, oh, there's just nothing else to do. I guess I'm scoring 11 and knocking out this spot as best I can. But the bioethics hook still in play after that. And Rafi now gets a big decision to respond. And he's running out of time. He'll need to pull a bingo soon. All of these tiles on his rack are good bingo tiles. So we'll see how many he chooses to play and how much he tries to score here. Again, I think the L going to be huge in this game for the LY spot. The S as well going to be huge for the bioethics spot. But Rafi also needs to score some points in the process. EH does not take any back hooks in NWL, so if he plays EH and HM or EH and ham next to Cozy, that is effectively cutting off that end of the board. He'll need to find a better way to score, perhaps something like HAO to the O in Cozy, or is he just playing OH? Okay, OH taking the M that Rafi holding on to, but also takes an O. There are three of those unseen, as well as an S. So OH likely to get blocked, but maybe Rafi feels there's enough that he can pull into AELMRS that makes this worth it. Lamisary, remotely, options he can draw, as well as Masterly to the Y. So he likes the strength of this rack, and he knows he needs to extend this game and bingo not once, but probably twice to catch up.
I was going to suggest HEAL to the L of Mangrels, setting up his S pretty nicely, which would have been good, especially because the pool looked like it had a bunch of A's and E's left. But I also do understand this play just to, not play as many tiles and open up this area of the board.
Josh knocking out the Y, I think perhaps he sniffs out. If you're opening a line here, it's a feint, and you're really trying to hit a bingo to the Y. But now Rafi is going to be able to respond with a very high-scoring bingo, making OHM, as he's got Lampers, Sampler, and a number of other bingos out of this rack. Sampler coming down. This will be 98 points for Rafi, and that'll make the score 308 to 347. So Rafi scoring just 5 last turn, but smashes 98 this turn. and feels like he's going to catch back up into this game. However, Josh picking up the X is huge here as he can crush that spot back with a bingo score of his own.
Yeah, Josh very lucky to get that X. He'll just make a or cement his lead once again. I wonder something like locks
Yeah,
probably.
Ox or Locks likely the plays here. The
Yeah,
L no longer powerful, and Rafi needs a blank on this pull and
yeah,
does
that was
not.
not what he wanted.
Rafi seems to have an aversion to drawing blanks on stream. He left a blank as the last tile in the bag the last time he was here, and pulling tiles out of this bag, he's not drawing it either. So he has to be feeling pretty slim or grim about his chances, as now no blank and an S and an X unseen as well. Oh boy. There's also a Q in the bag, which could be a Trojan horse for whoever draws it, as this board is not at all friendly to the Q, and all of the U's have been played. So Josh, looking like he's going to play locks here. He could also play Ox, of course, or LOWSE, overlaps with AW, ohms, and PE for 48 as well. If I'm Josh, I'm only playing 2 tiles here. I do not want that Q, but he's going to play locks instead. Rafi reaching in the bag, like, oh, did you draw that blank, or is it possible you still left it in there for me? 14 unseen to Rafi, 7 in the bag. He realizes here he probably needs to draw a bingo next turn, or he is sunk in this game.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to do that because I'm not seeing any great ways to get rid of the J and some of the other clunkier tiles on his rack, unless I'm missing something.
No,
Uh,
no, bingo is probably going to need to start with an S to hit the bioethics spot or play through the O in duo. It's going to be very difficult to draw a bingo that starts with an S and has a J in it, although
yeah.
perhaps Sapaju we saw on stream earlier from Paul Holzer, but not quite in the cards for him here. He could play Joypad through the Y and Cuddy. That would draw 5 new tiles, put him in danger of drawing the Q, but go digging for that S and or that blank. Actually, Sepaju is still possible if he draws an S and a blank.
That would be something. Yeah, I guess Joypad makes sense given there's no decent place to play something like Jog or anything. Um, yeah, it's tough though. It's not an appealing play, and leaving GI isn't inspiring either. But you gotta just hope.
Yeah, a play making ODA, like GO and ODA in the bottom left corner, does not quite open a bingo line. It's only going to give Rafi a spot to play 6 tiles, so that doesn't do it for him. He's in poor shape here in this game, and I think maybe Joypad and Prey, or consider dumping the J. I wonder if he can fish for soaping as well. Soaping would be a word that plays, but he'd have to get rid of JD, and I don't see any plays that do that without playing significantly more tiles.
Yeah, I don't see anything either. Yeah, it's just not many options that even seem to give him a chance. He'll just dump the J for JO, delay things a little more, and then hope to be able to clean this up a bit more and draw the blank, I guess.
On Rafi, pull the blank. Pull the blank on your 1 tile play, not the Q, the blank. Okay,
Nope.
B. Well, Rafi loves leaving blanks in the bag, I suppose, and it seems he'll do it again here. Josh, at this point, after Rafi been unable to score as well as him the last turn, he could just run away with this game. A play like Wise, WISE, and Samplers is 45 and would put him up over 100 points, also leaving 2 in the bag. Wise could leave Josh in trouble with the Q, so an out bingo catching Josh with the Q could be devastating, but I think he'd get one more turn to make a play, and even if he has to eat the Q, a play like Wise should outrun in this game. If he wants to play off fewer tiles, dodge the Q, and give Rafi one more chance to play, he could play W. Oh, he's already played Wise. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. Just pretty unlikely that he will get burned so badly for this. And just, yeah, it's
All
hard to
right. So
imagine another play being better.
for Rafi to have a chance, Josh needs to draw the Q and not the blank, and Josh
This
draws
is both.
neither. So the 2 tiles left in the bag are Q
You blank.
blank.
Wow.
What?
That'll be a draw, quite the draw for Rafi if he decides to play off 2.
Okay, so Rafi now likely needs to make a one tile fish. If he makes a two tile fish, then Josh will have perfect knowledge of his rack and be able to block whatever. But a one tile fish will create just enough fog of war that perhaps he could hit something. But a one tile fish would also need to open a lane, or oh man, I don't know. I don't think Rafi can win this game at this point unless Josh plays just makes an absolutely abysmal and uncharacteristic mistake. But I
Yeah, I
expect to
mean,
see probably a one tile fish or Rafi to look for a 9 through the ED and
mm,
hived that he may be able to draw.
yeah, I mean, are there even any one-tile fishes that work ever?
I mean,
Like,
Rafi has to assume he draws the blank, and I'm not
yeah,
even
but
seeing a one
even
tile
then,
fish
what
that
can
hits
he
with
hit?
the blank.
What can he hit?
Yeah, fishing off the P and picking up blank could give a boating, which does not fit on this board. Pig boat is a word that also won't go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um, yeah, I guess it's just so unlikely, but maybe not impossible that there are two tile plays that empty the bag and make it impossible for Josh to block bioethics. Given the cue and all the vowels, it's not going to be the easiest thing because a lot of those blocks will give back. Well, no, they won't give back a sevens line, but some of them might. So,
Could
yeah,
I wonder, could Rafi try to fish for pedagogue, Pedagogue? I don't think it's quite there. I think he's 3 letters off, and he would need to be just 2 letters off.
mm,
Pedagogue. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
the
PUE short.
BID, yeah, BID need to go for
I,
that.
I think Rafi just sunk at this point in this game.
Yeah, just no real appearing. There's yeah, it doesn't really seem to be any sort of way to even create that slim chance.
And no extensions to locks. I don't think bioethical has some, or bioethic has an extra, bioethicists. No, that won't fit the triple or hit the triple. Extensions
Hmm.
to KYE do not exist either. Perhaps Josh or Rafi can try to phony with a bioethic or something. I don't know. Rafi's just done in this game.
Yeah, even that isn't going to be nearly enough for him, unfortunately. And yeah, he's just thrown in the towel, not even going for a bingo, um, and just taking some points, saving spread.
Yeah, perhaps Bop and a really awesome cue stick situation. Oh, okay, he's gonna pick it back up. Like, hey, maybe I bingo, but Bop and a great cue stick would maybe make this game close. But Wise just scored too much for Josh last turn, and Rafi not going to be able to get back into this game. So Op the play for Rafi rather than Bop, and he will pick up Q blank out of the bag. And of course, the blank, the very last tile he draws, as has been the case for this game. Josh AAEEGOT has to feel good. He won't be getting bingoed on the queue on Rafi's rack. And Josh going to hold on to win this game. Definitely curious to hear players' thoughts on this. So Josh going to take some time, make sure he does the correct in-game spread. Could matter in this tournament. And as soon as they make the last play again, we'll cut to the over-the-board microphone to see if we can get any sort of post-mortem out of these players. And I'm curious to see if Josh thought Mangrels might be phony. I'm curious to see if Josh knew Refactors was phony. I expect both players to pull out their phone, open up the Ulu app, thanks to Seth Lipkin for creating that, and checking these words immediately. I'm not going to be the one to text Rafi and let him know that he let two phony bingos go. I've texted Jackson a few questionable decisions after the game, but this one in a game with this many stakes, there's no way I'm going to be that
Yeah,
guy.
can't be that bearer of bad news. Yeah, and I expect Josh to be as upset at himself for something like Mangrels as Rafi will be, knowing Josh. So excited to see that reaction.
I'm not, at this point, at this day, I'm not telling anybody anything about their games. I'm going to let them, focus on the next turn, and that is it. That's all you
Yeah,
can do at this juncture in a Scrabble tournament. Focus on your next turn and don't think about anything else. It's so easy in a tournament this long to focus on every mistake you've made. Man, if I just had this game back or this game back, if I just blocked this one bingo line, my record would be this, and I'd have a play into this, or I would have clinched already. You can't play that game. It's a
yeah.
long psychological grind. Focus on the 7 tiles in front of you and make the best play you can in this iteration. Do not focus on anything else.
Yeah, and when the stakes are so high at this point in the tournament, it can, yeah, like you said, it can be so easy to just think about any little mistake you made or any lost spread. But so many things are going on in the game of Scrabble that it's really, really hard to play perfectly. And obviously, we would all like to, but you got to give yourself some grace, or at least wait until after the tournament, because that it doesn't really matter in the moment what little mistakes you might have made.
Jackson Smiley and I, when we were training and trying to get good back in 2011, 2012, our mantra was make the right play. Jackson took it so far that he would even write MTRP on the top of every one of his score sheets before a game as a little reminder to himself. Focus, make the right play. That's all you're doing. Make the right play. It seems so simple and so obvious, right? Make the best play, but it's so hard in a game with so many twists and turns and so many rounds. To do it consistently every turn.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I did not know about the MTRP. That's an awesome, awesome phrase.
Yeah,
And
I don't think he does it anymore, but
yeah,
I also,
I don't think he does. Yeah,
for a while he did, and
maybe
yeah,
that's what he needs to do.
I'm pretty sure Jackson's been making the right play very consistently this tournament, with one glaring exception, that the Pica play
Oh
from day
yeah,
one that made my face melt. If you missed that, go back and watch round 7, Jackson versus Andy Huang, and see me have like a nervous breakdown almost as I wondering if I'm having a crazy Scrabble dream or if this is real life. And Jackson just did the dumbest thing I've ever seen a 2100 player do.
yeah. He said he just totally did not think of Spica the whole time, which is just hilarious because when you put a letter next to the triple in the way that he did, yeah, it's just that's the first thing you want to think about. Are there any hooks to this?
Right, right. But alas, we're all human. We all make mistakes, except Nigel Richards.
Yes.
If I'm Rafi, I'm big sad right now. I know this game is over, and I know Josh has spent like 5 minutes here trying to figure out this game. But Josh, with a potential Q stick situation as well, he wants to make sure he takes advantage of the bad pull that Rafi has had. Josh actually did figure out optimal end game for himself,
Wow.
too. So awesome. I don't even know what he's blocking. Do you?
Yeah, I don't. Um,
Or if he's just guaranteeing an out and 2 with
I guess
AOT.
so. I guess there were no Q sticks then.
Yeah. Umiak still going to be a play for
Yeah,
Rafi. His play also gives up Niqab and Kadi and all these other things, but Umiak
right.
going to be Rafi's play.
Yeah.
And Josh now gets to go out with his AOT leave. Tawea plays for 12, but OAT also plays alongside Sampler for 13.
Mm.
So, assuming Josh has thought this all out, and I'm sure he has, he'll catch Rafi with BDG on his rack. He'll play out for 13 points. And the final in this one's going to be 474 for Josh to 383 for Rafi. 91-point victory for Josh, springing him up to 18-4. And Josh would need to lose probably 5 of the last 6 games to miss out on the final now, as he's pulled even further ahead of this field. Very impressive showing from Josh. Certainly another positive equity game, because the difference between his bingo of refactors and the play of pharaohs for 45, huge swing in this game.
Yeah, totally. I wonder if we can get that the microphone by the board to hear what they say, or if they talk about those plays at all.
Yeah. As soon as Josh gets his play down, let's just go ahead and cut to it now. I have nothing meaningful to add, so we'll listen to Josh make his outplay and get the banter from there.
10.
What are you doing, Josh?
Just go out.
Oh, I see where that O goes. Still not the best end game. Just go out, man.
Earlier. 13. 29. Yeah, I think that was 1 point worse actually. We got for that count. Yeah, Cokes was nice. I saw that. I was like, oh, you're totally gonna not go out. You're gonna play Cokes. You're an asshole. No, I mean, you're trying to spread important. Yeah, but I think it's -1. I think if you play bag, it's better. But, 396 to 485. Yeah. You always get random 9s on me. Yeah, this always fucking happens. It's like ridiculous. Like you had a non-bigger ride. I had draws into Ramos and Lanassery. So you didn't fully take me for a ride, but I was really thinking you were trying to distract me. But I had the M. But you had both, which is sick. Yeah. Like, it's nice. Yeah, you played really well. Like, you always give yourself chances. It's really nice. Thanks. The one play that I was like really not sure about what to do. Kai. Yeah, I had my right here living Keis, but like there weren't that many tiles. There weren't. Yeah, the only tiles were like gone. Yeah, there were only like 7 tiles or so, or maybe like 9 tiles that gave me a play right there, like single tiles with a K. And I thought you're vowel heavy, so you're gonna have plays with an A there more than average. And like I had OI blank. I mean, OB is the very standard play there, but after your exchange, I thought very long and hard about how important the quadrant control was. I don't know. Yeah. This B isn't great unless you have a blank. Yeah. I have a blank. I don't know. It was pretty. It looks defensive, but it's very aggressive. So I'm leaving this open, So it just worked out as it's been all tournament. Yeah. Given what I drew, if I played high, it probably would have worked out really well for me. Right. Because I drew an L and a V, so I would have had like a goal. Right. Yeah, and I guess, I don't know, I guess you have a 5-letter word with a K somewhat often probably when you have the K. But when you don't, that's exactly the thought process that screws you up. Because like a new could happen at any point, and you're just like, okay, do I try for 60 and then just get burned like a huge amount of the time? Yeah, I have a shit horrible rack. Yeah. The only thing that I thought might have been worth useful is like if I play my right here, it doesn't take all the seeds are gone, so it's like not that easy to. I mean, you can block it overlaps, but like. A little bit harder for you to like just get a but I never want to play there. Yeah. Basically never want to play there. Yeah. Unless you have like a good tile or like a key or something. I don't know. Like I felt this was defensive enough to justify like terribleness. I had L and O V there. So I was like, I have another O, I can block the Y, I can block with the V. But I'm falling victim to like 2 bingos. But the thing is, there's like all the bingo tiles were gone. Yeah, so it's just like, I think I want to just let you bingo for a little bit. I didn't let you bingo for a little bit. And then I just drew everything I needed. Like, I could have blocked with ovals if I wanted to. I think people on stream were like, why the hell didn't you play ovals? It's because you knew I was fishing for this, but you also, I was also fishing for that. And then I just drew the X. It's just like, okay, fine. I drew the Q and the blank as the last 2 tiles. The Q blank? Yeah. I was like, you're drawing the Q. The blank. I can't believe I didn't know what to do. I dodged the Q. I regretted putting the L here
because it's just bringing me closer to the queue that I don't want. Like, you can always block the only spot that I have QIS.
I actually.
So I shouldn't have done that. I should have kept the L. I was fully expecting the drop, which I should have, obviously.
I considered doing something kind of weird. Like I feel like this probably wouldn't have worked hardly ever. But when I played Joe, I considered
Exchanging 7, right?
no.
No. Yeah. You should have exchanged 7. When there's 7 in the bag, always exchange 7.
And then I would have drawn Q blank and been like, well, what the fuck? Should have exchanged 6. But what I considered playing Joypad through the Y. Because if I somehow draw the blank and you have the Q and you can't use it, and somehow there's like some weird bingo that you have to, I don't know. It seems like it probably doesn't actually ever work. But like maybe there's some weird 9 I can draw through ED, or maybe there's some threat. But
and
it
I get
seems
Q stuck. Yeah.
I didn't think it seemed. It was just like a thought, but I don't think it's going to work very often. I mean, basically, I need you to not have a good rack after I play Sampler, and have to like play here for 20, and then I draw some big play with the S, or I draw a big play with the X, or. Well, that pretty much killed my chances of winning that.
Yeah, it's always happens. Like,
I mean,
you're like so overdue against me. It's ridiculous.
Well, I blew 2 games this tournament, so like shit. I blew the game against Andy. I made him play way too fast in the pre-end game, and if I had taken my time, I would have won. And then I blew a tough end game against Joey Malik. Yeah. So
you don't have your.
Yeah. I
have your, because I can just scan it if you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so
all right, we can cut away from the over the board audio now. We are going to take just a brief break as these guys get their submissions posted. I am hearing that Jackson won his game over Eric Goldstein to retain his position 2 ahead of the rest of the field. Josh obviously winning this one. He'll stay 3 ahead of the field. And if Kevin Freely lost his game to Joey Malik, then it's going to be very difficult for anybody other than Jackson or Josh to make it into these finals. Nevertheless, we'll give you Joey Malik and Jackson Smiley in the next game. Joey will definitely need a win to keep this tournament interesting and spicy for the rest of y'all. I wonder, I'll talk with the production team about this, but if Jackson and Josh pull off the double Gibsonization, we may try to get some actual action in terms of a CSW game, or to just, to show you a game with stakes, or we may switch to another division, or just showcase some other strong players in the field who are going to be playing for positions in 3rd or 4th. I'll figure out what we want to do, but it's looking increasingly likely that Jackson and Josh do pull off a double Gibsonization as they're pulling ahead of the field. For right now, we'll cut to just a brief intermission. All the players have finished their games, so I can't imagine this is a long break. I'm going to go grab some coffee. Again, Matt Canik joined today by Chloe Fatsis, and we'll be back in a few short moments. Y'all don't go anywhere.